Thank y'all so much for checking out episode 31. Little how-to video today for people. I have a lot of people always ask me here and there, like, man, how'd y'all get the podcast going? How long y'all been doing it? Like, what all do you need for it? We get questions all the time about the podcast, but I appreciate it nonetheless. So today we're gonna go over how to start your own podcast now for beginners, right? So it basically breaks down into a list of a few different things that you're going to need to start your podcast. If you're, just starting it off, want to grow on it, whatever the case may be. We've been doing Let Loose at September of 2022 of last year. We're not even a full year into it yet. We love doing it, but just a few simple steps, man, and you can get your podcast underway. So we'll jump right into it. So Sam, what's one of the first things you need starting off a brand new podcast? What's one of the first things that somebody's going to need?
Bro, you're going to need some quality equipment for your visual quality and your audio quality. You want your stuff to sound good and look good, basically, is what I'm saying. You got to have some stuff. It doesn't have to be super expensive, but it has to be something that's going to last through the test of time. If you're going to do this stuff for real, I would get something that's a little bit more high end, but if you just want to play around with it, you can get something lower price wise and higher quality or whatever for that price. We got our mics off of Amazon, maybe like $50.
I have the mics. Gotta have the mics, upgraded mics, and get you a webcam, get you a little camera or something. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. So I'm using a MacBook right now. Whatever I'm using a family MacBook. It's got a pretty good camera on it. So I'm using that. He's using the webcam. So it's definitely got to be a good quality on your visual and on your audio.
Headsets, can't go wrong with headsets either. And this takes time too. So I don't want everybody to mistake and think like, oh, because you don't have it right away, like you can't start it. You can. We didn't start like this. Right. When we started this, we didn't have, you got to upgrade green screens. You upgrade to everything. You got to move up to this gradually. We didn't have these microphones when we started. We started off, we plugged in Xbox headsets. Exactly. We had Xbox headsets plugged right into the computer when we first started our first, I don't know however many episodes, but just something to get the ground. The first thing you need for a successful podcast, in my opinion, that's more important than any other of the steps you're going to need is a good partner / companion. Okay. Like starting a podcast is hard enough at the start, but you should have at least one other person that you have that connection with. Not many people want to sit and watch episodes of just one person rambling on. It's very hard. It's very challenging. So we're lucky we got a bond where like we can sit here, we can go back and forth all day. We can get along about a lot of stuff that we agree on, and we can argue about a lot of stuff. And we go off. And we do that. But at the end of the day, we family. It's all love, it's all respect, but that ain't ever gonna stop us on calling each other out from our bullshit. So that's the biggest, most important thing you need for a start off.
You gotta have the topics, you gotta have good topics. Topics is key. Topics is key for having a good to a great podcast. But trending topics is something good. If you have something that you really enjoy and you're very passionate about, go for it. Those are the things, check out your competition as well. If it's only a certain amount of these type videos or whatever, and you feel like you can be more passionate, go for it. But if you feel like it's an overflow of these videos, you might want to try something a little bit different to get that stuff flowing out to the public like you want to.
Another thing you're going to need is a symbolic yet a somewhat simple name, something that fits, but it's not hard to find on platforms. Let Loose. When we started this, we are the only Let Loose podcast on YouTube. Not so much anymore. People like to try to play Robin to the Batmans or whatever, but this is the only one worth listening to. I can promise y'all that.
Believe it.
When we started this podcast back in September, this was the only Let Loose podcast on YouTube. This is the OG Let Loose podcast. Find something symbolic yet somewhat simple that is going to catch, not hard for people to find you. And then you're going to want a decent program to record. You're going to want a decent program to record and do your editing. Zoom's always a great program for people. It's very simple, always smart to record and publish. at a later date when you're starting off. And then that way you ain't got to worry about messing up, doing this. And then as soon as you're comfortable, then you can go live at a later date. As far as video editing goes, you can do simple stuff. iPhone users, we got iMovie right on the phone. That is that's a simple but great program that you can use to make, and edit any videos you might make through Zoom or anything you're going to use to record. If you're on a computer, you can also use Filmora. Filmora is another program you could use. It's a good program. It's very informative, and it's cheap. For everything you get, it's cheap compared to the rest of them. So that's just a couple programs y'all can start, go off there. Android, I've never had an Android, but I'm sure that they have some kind of movie maker too, like iMovie. Like both of these phones have the same exact shit. So it's got to be one on there too.
Yeah, bro, editing is key, man, for real. I know you do all the editing for us. So thank you so much for that. Another thing, when you do your topics, man, you got to get out there and don't be scared to fail. Don't be scared to fail. Some things gonna flop. Some things gonna do really well. Yeah, some things are gonna do like super extraordinary, that beyond your wildest dreams, And some things you feel like, man, I was really passionate to you, whatever, maybe only got like 15, 20 views. So that doesn't mean that you didn't do good with that topic. It might not have been the right time. The algorithm might have been off. So don't get discouraged when certain things don't pop like you know what I'm saying? You think that it should have popped and stuff like that, whatever. Because like I said, you're dealing with people from all walks of life. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, any one of these platforms, man, you got people from everywhere, so don't limit yourself and feeling like, oh, you have to be a certain type of way just to get views. If you have a agenda, if you have something that you want to say, just any of those things or whatever on your mind, in your spirit, go ahead and say those things, man. Get it out, man. Some of that stuff, it'll go fast. Some of that stuff will slow, but it'll grow as well too. So don't be scared to fail.
Choose your platform. Everybody has their main platform of when you start a podcast of what you're gonna want to do. I recommend YouTube. That's what we use. Up your game. You can go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, start getting on different things. But I feel like YouTube is the best way to interact with people. And they can view you as well as hear you. It's not just listening to you. They can view you. They can see what you're all about. Right.
Couple more things I got, man. You got to be organized. Have your itinerary ready so you can have that stuff already laid out. So it's easier to say what you need to say. So you don't have to think about all that extra stuff, whatever. Have all your data ready, man, and just have fun. Have fun with your podcast. That's the biggest thing or whatever with us. If this stuff not fun, man, we'll take a week off or something like that. If something's going on, we'll take a week off. We'll handle business. So make sure you have fun, be organized, and know your audience, man, who you trying to get this stuff to,
Back.
Those are a couple of things that I think that is getting us to a point where we're trying to be at. We're 275 subscribers, 276 subscribers right now. I feel like at the end of the year, man, we may hit 1,000, we may not. But you know what? We're gonna grind hard, man. We're gonna stay solid, man, with this stuff or whatever. And Let Loose Podcast gonna be the biggest in a little while, man. So mark our words.
That's well said, man. I feel like we do pretty good. We have a good time on here. We do overall. We try to help people out. We try to, get the people what they want. I like to think of us as the people's podcast.
That's right.
The people's
definitely.
podcast,
Yeah.
The voice of the voiceless. Last suggestion I probably would make is we come up with topics and stuff we want to talk about, and we tell each other, like, I'll text Sam, like, yo, I want to talk about this. Or he'll text me, like, yo, I want to talk about this. And that's that. We're not actors here. If you have an itinerary of stuff you're going to talk about with somebody, everything's organic. The more organic you go with this shit, the better results you will get. Be yourselves and be organic with it. You know what I mean? Take notes. We take notes just because, like, stuff, main points we want to make, stuff we don't want to forget to say, but everything is organic. Most of the time you don't even go off of that. The conversation goes a whole nother way, and then you kind of piggyback off of that. But organic conversation. Shut up, timer. I'm not fucking done talking. Organic conversation is the best conversation you can have in podcasting. The best stuff you can do comes from all up here. It's never no notes or never no scripted shit. We are 100% unfiltered and 100% unscripted on this podcast. And I think that's what makes us us. So there you have it, man. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you got to do to start a podcast, man. I appreciate everybody for sticking it out and rocking with us this far. And I hope that this video can be put to some great use to anybody who's potentially interested in starting your own podcast, because it's what we try to do, man. We try to spread love, spread the word, do our thing, and we have fun on here, don't we, Sam? We have a hell of a time every week,
man,
bro.
We have a good ass time, man, for real. A lot of people enjoy it. We get a lot of good feedback, man. Like I said, we get some criticism as well, whatever, but we put all that stuff to good use, man. For real, we need the criticism so we can get higher and get to that level that we're trying to be at, you know? For real,
Yeah,
you gotta take the good, you gotta take the good with the bad, man. For real. You can't give punches and can't take them, you know, for real. That's not right. That's not life.
I don't mind being criticized. I like educating people every day. I'm the teacher. Teacher. Juggernaut James. You heard
me? Yo, straight up. Hey, man, we up out this thing, man, but more gift card giveaways coming up in this month of May. So shout out to the Cinco de Mayo. When y'all seeing it, happy Cinco de Mayo, happy Mother's Day. You know, all that stuff's coming up really soon. So shout out to all the mothers out there. So Let Loose Podcast, we out of here with another one, episode 31.